chosen one, God is about to remove your biggest burden. And this is not a maybe. This is not a hope. This is not even a prayer anymore. This is a decision made. Heaven has already signed off on it. It's official in the spiritual realm, and now it's preparing to manifest in the physical. You have carried the weight long enough. You've walked through valleys others couldn't survive. You've endured sleepless nights, hidden pain, silent battles, and invisible chains. And now the divine decree has been released. It ends here. Your days of carrying what was never meant to be permanent are numbered. Your burden, the one that kept you locked in cycles, doubt, fear, and fatigue, is about to be lifted completely and permanently. And when it's gone, the freedom that follows will shock even you. Before you dive deeper into this video, I want you to do something powerful. Stay with us until the end, because this message holds an activation over your life. And I want you to light up the comment section with your warmest wishes. What do you want to see come true? What do you want the universe to energize for you? Now that your burden is being removed, write it out and seal it by commenting the number 99, the code of release, renewal, and resurrection energy. Your wish matters. The vibration of your intent matters. Say it loud, write it clear, and let this be the moment where destiny hears your heart. Now, chosen one, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's talk about the shift. This moment isn't random, it's not accidental. You didn't stumble into this message by chance. Something deep inside you knew something was changing. You felt the discomfort increasing, the pressure building, the emotions rising out of nowhere. That's because the spiritual weight you've been under is reaching its expiration point. It's always the heaviest before it lifts. That's why the last few days, weeks, or months may have felt harder than ever before. It's because God was putting the final touches on what comes next. And in doing so, He allowed you to feel the edges of your limitation. But now comes divine intervention. You see, the burden wasn't just physical. It wasn't just the financial stress. It wasn't just the betrayal. It wasn't just the illness. The burden was spiritual. It was a barrier between you and your full purpose. It was like a spiritual weight vest that made every step more difficult, every decision more draining, and every day feel like a silent battle. But hear this, that spiritual weight is being cut off now. Not gradually, not in pieces, instantly, completely supernaturally. The burden removal is not just about feeling better, it's about being repositioned. The removal is a divine realignment. You are being shifted from strain to ease, from force to flow, from confusion to clarity. You are not going to have to fight for what belongs to you anymore. You will not beg. You will not plead. You will not suffer to access what's already yours. This next season will come with grace. It will come with strength. It will come with divine help from directions you didn't see coming. God has seen the private pressure you've been under, the kind you didn't talk about, the kind that wore you down, slowly like a river shaping stone. You've been smiling while suffering. You've been functioning while fatigued. You've been carrying burdens in your mind that didn't let you rest at night. But your rest is coming back. Your peace is coming back. Your energy is coming back. And what's more, your joy is going to overflow, because joy comes when heaviness is removed. You were never created to carry this forever. Some things you picked up because you had no other choice. You had to survive. You had to be the strong one. You had to keep pushing. But now, the season of surviving is over. This is the beginning of your thriving era. The decision has already been made in your favor. You're not going to have to prove yourself anymore to people who don't see you. You're not going to have to break your back for doors that won't open. The ones that are meant for you are swinging open without effort. And the burdens tied to the wrong people, the wrong paths, the wrong expectations, they're being cut loose. It's important you realize that sometimes the burden we carry is tied to false responsibility. You thought it was your job to fix it all, to heal everyone, to hold the family together, to be the one with all the answers. But those roles are being broken because your soul has been tired from wearing masks and playing roles that were never yours to begin with. You are being released from emotional guilt, from obligation, from cycles that drained you of your light. You are being returned to your authentic self. Light, free, clear, empowered, the one God designed before pain entered the picture. You're going to notice that things start shifting without effort. People who drained you will distance themselves. Thoughts that kept you stuck will lose their grip. Opportunities will open with ease. You won't have to chase peace. It will start finding you. That's how you'll know the burden has been removed. When what used to feel heavy now feels light. When what used to make you cry now brings relief. When what used to trigger you no longer affects you. That's spiritual elevation. What's being removed is not only what's on your shoulders, it's what was sitting in your subconscious. Doubts you inherited, shame you absorbed, lies you believed, trauma that lingered, patterns that kept repeating. They are being uprooted, cleansed, broken. You are stepping into a version of you that has never walked this earth before. You are not the wounded. You are not the limited. You are the whole, free, blessed, abundant you. And that's why this burden had to go. It had no place in your next chapter. This is not the kind of breakthrough where things slowly improve. Number is a divine snap, a breaking of the chain, an untying of the knot, a release that will be felt in every area of your life. Relationships, health, finances, creativity, spiritual growth. Everything that was stagnant will begin to move. What was delayed will now accelerate. What was locked will now be unlocked, and what was hidden will now be revealed. And don't be surprised if you feel emotional. Sometimes, when the burden leaves, the tears come not from sadness, but from the relief of not having to carry it anymore. From the realization that you made it, that you survived it, that you stayed standing when everything tried to make you fall. And now, everything you had to carry is being turned into fuel for your rise. The decision has been made. God has said enough, delay, enough, pain, enough, uncertainty. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. The lessons you've learned from this burden will not go to waste. You've become wiser, stronger, more in tune with who you really are. And now that version of you gets to live fully without the weight. Stay grounded, stay expectant, stay open, because when the burden lifts, there's a vacuum that grace rushes into, and this grace will carry you places your effort never could. You're about to experience lightness, clarity, favor, momentum, and the biggest revelation of all. How powerful you really are when you're not weighed down by what's been trying to hold you back. This is the beginning, not the end. What you feel now is only the signal of the shift. The full release is underway. Trust the process. Don't resist the lightness. Don't question the ease. You've been prepared for this, and now the heavens have confirmed it. The burden is being lifted. The blessing is being delivered. The breakthrough is here. You may not have realized it yet, but everything around you has been quietly responding to the shift that's already begun. The burden that's being lifted didn't just affect your emotional state. It warped your time, your opportunities, your alignment. It kept you in survival mode when your soul was designed for overflow. But now, the frequencies are correcting. The divine balance is being restored. What used to feel out of sync will begin to come together with unexpected harmony. There will be moments in this transition that feel strange. When a weight has been on your back for so long, its absence can feel like something is missing. But that's not lack. It's freedom. It's expansion. It's divine lightness finally stepping in after years of emotional and spiritual clutter. Don't fear the unfamiliar. The life you are entering is not one you've fully known yet. And that's a good thing, because what's ahead of you is a life where joy doesn't come with guilt, where peace isn't temporary, where love doesn't require sacrifice, where you don't have to lose pieces of yourself just to belong. The burden being removed may also come with goodbyes. Don't be alarmed if certain people fade from your life. Some of the weight you carried came from connections that were not divinely aligned. You gave and gave and gave, and in return received confusion, doubt, or emotional drought. But now that your burden is lifting, those energetic ties are dissolving. What's not meant to walk with you into the new will naturally distance itself. You won't have to force it, you won't have to explain it. The separation will feel sacred, like a door gently closing on its own. And it is its heaven making room. You are being repositioned for a life that doesn't require carrying burdens just to prove your worth. You never had to earn your right to rest. You never had to overperform to be accepted. You never had to suffer just to qualify for blessings. But the world taught you otherwise. And that belief became a weight. That mindset became a spiritual chain. But it's being undone now. You're waking up to the truth that your value was never tied to pain. Your destiny was never connected to exhaustion. And your purpose was never meant to feel like punishment. Chosen one. This burden was the last thing standing in the way of your full transformation. It was the invisible wall between who you've been and who you are becoming. It served a purpose for a time. It shaped you. It taught you resilience. It deepened your empathy. It refined your spirit. But now the divine has declared, class, dismissed, lesson, complete. You passed the test. You held on through the pressure, through the silence, through the unknown. And because of that, the removal is not just spiritual, it's ceremonial. You are being honoured in the heavens for what you carried with dignity. You may even notice your body feeling lighter, your thoughts clearing the mental fog, lifting. That's not a coincidence. The burden affected every dimension of your being, and now every dimension is being healed. Every cell of your body is catching up to the truth that you are safe, that you are supported, that you are free. Your nervous system is relaxing, your spirit is stabilizing, your energy is ascending, and your path is being cleared. Expect clarity where confusion used to live. Expect confidence where doubt once ruled. Expect flow where resistance was the norm. Your natural state is not chaos. It's divine harmony. You've just been living with spiritual interference, but now the signal is being restored. Your inner guidance is growing stronger. Your intuition is being amplified. You're going to start knowing things without needing proof, sensing your next move before it's visible, trusting the invisible path, because your soul finally feels safe again. What comes after burden is breakthrough. But not just external success, inner stillness. The peace you're about to feel will be so deep it will silence every storm that once raged in your mind. That peace will speak louder than every lie that tried to convince you that you weren't enough. That stillness will become your foundation, your superpower. You won't chase validation anymore. You won't overthink your worth. You'll know who you are, and you'll walk in that truth like it's oxygen. There's a part of you that's been asleep for years, buried beneath layers of survival. but now it's waking up. The creative part, the joyful part, the trusting part, the divine child within you is returning. And with it comes magic. With it comes colour. With it comes a renewed sense of awe. Life is about to surprise you again in the most beautiful ways. Not because the world changed, but because you're finally free to experience it without the filter of pain. Don't underestimate how deeply this burden has shaped your perception. It coloured your choices, your boundaries, even your voice. But now that it's lifting, you're going to feel bolder. You'll say what you mean. You'll ask for what you deserve. You'll walk away from what no longer serves you, not with anger, but with grace. Because when the weight is gone, you finally have space to be. You fully, authentically, powerfully. You may also feel a divine pause, a moment of stillness where it feels like everything goes quiet. That is sacred. That is the moment between weight and wings, between pressure and purpose, between what was and what's coming. Don't rush it. Let the silence settle in. It is the sound of God realigning your path. It's the space where peace becomes your compass. In that stillness, divine instructions will rise. You'll hear them in your spirit, feel them in your bones, and they will lead you into places of favour you didn't even pray for. There will be new people who come into your life and they will feel different. They won't need your healing energy to function. They won't take more than they give. They won't trigger old wounds. They will feel like ease, like breath, like mutual elevation. Because now that the burden has lifted, you are no longer a magnet for pain. You are a magnet for purpose. This shift is not just emotional, it's energetic. And because energy precedes matter, you will see this change ripple into your world. Doors that were shut will open without force. Delays will dissolve. What was stuck will start moving. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time, not by effort, but by alignment. That's the power of burden removal. It doesn't just give you peace, it restores your flow. This is your divine update, your reset, your rebirth. The decision has been made and nothing can reverse it. You are walking into a season where you won't even recognize the version of yourself that once struggled under the weight. You will look back with compassion, but you won't return. That was the cocoon. This is the flight. You're not just becoming lighter, you're becoming unstoppable. As this divine burden lifts from your life, you'll begin to feel something you haven't truly felt in a long time. Relief without resistance. You've been conditioned to expect the worst, even when the best is near. You've learned to question joy, to brace for impact when peace appears. That's what carrying a deep spiritual burden does. It teaches you to prepare for disappointment before you even taste fulfillment. But that programming is being broken. That inner narrative is being rewritten. You're being taught a new rhythm. Trust, not tension. Flow, not fear. It's okay if your nervous system doesn't fully believe the ease at first. That's expected. You're detoxing from an identity of heaviness. You've worn that weight-like armour. And when that armour is removed, you feel exposed at first, vulnerable. But soon, you'll realise you don't need to be protected from the blessings that are trying to find you. You don't have to guard your heart from what's pure. You don't have to shield your light anymore. The battle is over and the armour can come off. What remains is the real you, radiant and ready. Don't minimise how much courage it took to carry that burden, and don't dismiss how divine it is to finally let it go. Sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is release control, release timelines. Release needing to know how everything will work out. Because when the burden lifts, so does the illusion that you were ever supposed to carry it alone. God is not just removing what's heavy. He's reminding you that he was always meant to carry it with you. And now, that divine partnership is becoming more real than ever before. The path ahead may be unfamiliar, but it is infused with ease. You'll feel it in the way your days unfold, the timing of things, the effortless alignment. You'll walk into rooms where doors were already opened for you. You'll get emails or calls that feel like answers to prayers you forgot you even prayed, not because you forced anything, but because you allowed the weight to be lifted and space to be made. Space for favor, space for miracles, space for joy to enter unannounced and stay as long as it wants. You are not only being delivered from burdens, you are being delivered into blessings, into new cycles, into divine clarity, into relationships that feel like home, not projects into work that energizes you instead of draining you, into environments where your presence is honored instead of overlooked. That's what burden removal does. It doesn't just take things away. It ushers in everything you were blocked from receiving. And the most beautiful part, you won't have to prove yourself anymore. The heaviness you carried made you feel like you had to perform to be enough, like you had to explain your value to people who couldn't even see their own. But now, your energy will speak before you do. Your peace will introduce you. Your glow will announce your arrival. Because when the burden is gone, your real essence emerges. And that essence, it's divine, magnetic, limitless. There's a frequency you'll start to feel inside, one of alignment, one of confirmation, one of calm assurance that you are where you're supposed to be. That's not fantasy, that's divine timing. You are walking into a chapter where things begin to make sense in hindsight, where you understand why you had to be delayed, why the past had to be heavy, why certain things didn't work out. Because without the burden, you now see it clearly. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And now the preparation is complete. Let this be a sacred turning point, a spiritual checkpoint where you pause and realize you're not who you used to be. The old, you needed that burden to survive. The new you doesn't, the old you was forged in the fire. The new you is rising from the ashes. This isn't just a healing, it's a resurrection, a holy return to your empowered self. And with that return comes access to the things you used to only dream of. You're going to notice your manifestation speed increase because now nothing is blocking your signal. The weight is gone, the interference is gone. Your vibration is higher, clearer, sharper. That's why you'll think of something and see it show up faster. That's why you'll speak something and feel it magnetized to you. Because when the burden lifted, so did the resistance. And what's left is the pure power of a chosen one, operating in divine flow. There is no going back to the version of you that lived in fear. There is no going back to the cycle of tolerating what breaks your soul. You've outgrown that, you've transcended that. And now even the people who knew the old version of you won't be able to access you in the same way. Not because you're bitter, but because you're better. And this better version of you is guarded by grace. You'll begin to feel protected in new ways. Doors will close before harm can reach you. Situations will exit your life before damage can be done. That's divine shielding. That's what happens when your burden is lifted and your favor increases. You walk with spiritual armor that's unseen but unstoppable. You'll feel it when peace stays even when the storm rages. You'll feel it when your steps are steady, even when the future looks uncertain. That is divine proof that your burden is not only being lifted, it's being replaced with favor. There is no need to rush this new beginning. Let it unfold. Let the light in. Let the miracles reintroduce themselves. You'll notice divine alignment in the smallest moments. a stranger's kind words, a perfect song playing at the perfect time, an idea that lights up your soul. Those aren't coincidences, they're confirmation, markers on your path that say, you're not alone, you're on the right track. Keep going. This removal is not temporary. You will not circle back to the same pain. You will not relive the same lesson. You have broken the cycle. You've passed the test. The divine contract has been updated, and your life is now under new spiritual governance. You're no longer operating from old energy. You're not functioning from survival. You're operating from divine support. This is where you rebuild. This is where you restore. This is where you begin to dream again without fear, to speak boldly again without shrinking, to walk into rooms with your head held high. Not because of ego, but because the burden that bent your back is gone. You walk tall now because you are no longer carrying what was never yours to begin with. The decision is final. God's hand has moved, and what is being done in your life is irreversible. The momentum you feel is not a fluke. It's a divine shift, and nothing can stop what has already been initiated in the spirit. There is something happening in the background of your life right now that you can't fully explain yet. A divine rearrangement, a shift so sacred, so intentional, that even when things seem quiet, something major is unfolding. The burden is not just being lifted, it's being disassembled. What was once a stronghold over your life is now losing its grip completely. One thread at a time. The cords that kept you tied to fear, pressure, and limitation are unraveling. And the beautiful part, you don't even have to do anything to force it. This is not about striving. This is about surrender. This is about divine completion. Doing what only divine power can do. Sometimes when a heavy burden is removed, your body still reacts with survival habits. You might feel like you have to hustle for peace, or that if you don't worry, you're being careless. These are normal echoes of a past cycle, but now you're being invited to trust what is easing. The heaviness that was once constant is no longer your reality. And though your mind may try to recreate it out of habit, your spirit is guiding you to stay in the new space. The space where God carries the weight, and you simply align. This is the start of a new identity, no longer the one who carries it all, no longer the one who fixes everything, no longer the one who pushes through pain just to get by. You are now the one who receives divine support. You are the one who lives in overflow. You are the one who rises without resistance. Your old labels have expired. Your old story has ended. You're not just healed. You're reborn into a narrative of freedom. And with that rebirth, the way you view yourself must evolve. You're not weak for letting go. You're not irresponsible for walking away from what drained you. You're not selfish for choosing your peace. In fact, this is the most powerful thing you've ever done. To lay down the weight you were never meant to carry, and to reclaim your right to breathe, to laugh, to feel light again. That is sacred. That is strong. That is spiritual maturity, and you've stepped into it like a warrior of light. Expect to be misunderstood during this phase. When the burden lifts, some people will still expect the old version of you. They will look for the one who overextends, who says yes when they mean no, who absorbs everyone else's chaos to keep the peace. But you're not that person anymore. You've been delivered from emotional obligation. Your boundaries are holy now. Your time is sacred now. You've learned that peace is not a luxury. It's your divine inheritance. And now that you've tasted it, you won't trade it for anything. You'll notice this transformation in subtle ways. The things that used to trigger you no longer penetrate your energy field. The people who once drained you don't even reach your attention. The scenarios that once felt overwhelming now feel manageable or simply irrelevant. That's not avoidance, that's elevation. You're not ignoring anything. You're operating from a higher spiritual frequency, and certain patterns can't reach you there. Your life will begin to reflect this shift in undeniable ways. Your environment may start to look different. You may be called to clean, to rearrange, to declutter. Not just your physical space, but your emotional, digital, and relational space too. That's because your soul is making room for more light, more alignment, more joy, and it can no longer coexist with what's out of tune. The release of your burden didn't just open a door. It started a complete spiritual house cleaning, and when it's done, you will be surrounded only by what elevates you. There's something incredibly beautiful about no longer needing validation. When you're free of your biggest burden, you no longer measure your worth by external reactions. You stop needing people to understand your journey. You stop seeking applause for surviving storms. They didn't see. You simply know. You know who you are. You know what you've been through. And you know that the only recognition you truly need comes from above. That quiet confidence becomes your anchor. It guides your decisions. It sharpens your discernment. It protects your path. Now that the burden is lifted, your energy will start attracting differently. You'll draw in opportunities that match your vibration, not your pain. You'll connect with people who see your soul, not just your service. You'll encounter moments that feel like divine winks, small miracles that say, yes, this is the new timeline. Yes, this is where you're supposed to be. There's also something else you need to hear. It's okay to enjoy this new season. You don't need to apologize for your breakthrough. You don't need to explain your peace. You don't need to tone down your joy. You paid for this joy with every tear, every sleepless night, every silent prayer. And now that it's here, you are worthy of it. You are safe in it. Don't look back. Don't shrink. Don't sabotage it, because the old version of you wouldn't recognize it. Let that version rest. You're free now. There may be people who try to remind you of who you used to be. Let them. That's not your concern anymore. They're speaking to a version of you that no longer exists. That version carried the weight. This version carries the wisdom. That version endured. This version expands. That version bent under pressure. This version rises in light. You owe no one an explanation for the transformation they didn't witness. Your freedom speaks for itself. This moment in your life is holy. It's not about achieving more, it's about being more, being present, being joyful, being fully in your body, being unapologetically at peace. This is your sacred return to self. This is your full circle moment, the place where you realize the storm was never the end. It was the sacred passage into your power. You don't need to chase anything anymore. What belongs to you will now flow to you. Not because you begged, not because you forced it, but because the weight that blocked your blessings has been removed. And what's flowing to you now is magnetic. It's divine. It's tailor-made by God for the version of you that is finally ready to receive without resistance. This isn't just a new chapter, it's a whole new book. The story you're about to write will be filled with grace, favor, ease, and alignment. The characters in it will reflect your light, the lessons will reinforce your worth, and the plot it will unfold with divine timing and undeniable miracles. Let this part settle in your soul. You are free now, and your freedom is the most powerful energy in the universe.